forest canopy where sunlight filters softly through layers of leaves. The life of a spotted dove begins in near silence. There is no dramatic entrance, no powerful movement, only two small, fragile eggs resting inside a loosely woven nest of twigs. It is a structure built not for perfection, but for survival. Every branch, every strand of dry grass has been placed with instinct rather than design. And within this simple cradle lies the beginning of a journey that will span 150 days. A journey where not all will reach the end. Before the nest, before the eggs, there was movement across the sky. A flock of spotted doves traveled together, gliding over vast landscapes in search of a suitable place to settle. Among them, one pair begins to drift apart from the group. There is no signal, no clear moment of decision, only a gradual separation guided by instinct. They descend into a quieter part of the forest, where dense foliage offers both shelter and concealment. Here, they begin to search. The choice of location is critical. Every branch is evaluated, every angle considered. Too exposed, and the nest becomes visible to predators. Too hidden, and it may not withstand wind or rain. Eventually, they settle on a branch partially shielded by leaves, high enough to avoid most ground threats, yet stable enough to support new life. It is not perfect, but in the wild, perfection is never an option. The process of building the nest begins. One bird gathers twigs, while the other arranges them. Back and forth they go, repeating the same motions again and again. The structure slowly takes shape. Thin, fragile, but sufficient. It will not last forever. It only needs to last long enough. Then, one morning, the first egg appears, smooth, pale, and still warm from the moment it is laid. Soon after, a second egg joins it. Two lives, silent and unmoving, yet full of potential. From this point on, everything changes. The focus shifts entirely to protection and care. The incubation period begins. One parent remains in the nest, keeping the eggs warm while the other searches for food. They switch roles throughout the day, maintaining a delicate balance. The forest continues its rhythm around them. Wind moves through the trees, sunlight shifts across the leaves, distant calls echo through the air. But inside the nest, time feels slower, quieter, more fragile. Days pass, then more days. Nothing seems to change. But inside the eggs, something is happening. At first, it is almost impossible to notice. A faint movement, a subtle shift. Then, one day, a small crack appears on the surface of an egg. It is barely visible, just a thin line breaking the smooth shell. From within, a tiny beak pushes outward, tapping again and again. The process is slow, exhausting. It can take hours, even days. But eventually, the shell gives way. The first chick emerges, wet, fragile, and completely helpless. Its body is bare, its movements weak. Shortly after, the second egg begins to crack as well. Soon, there are two chicks lying side by side, their lives just beginning. In these early days, survival depends entirely on the parents. The chicks cannot regulate their own body temperature. They cannot feed themselves. They cannot even lift their heads properly. Every need must be met by the adults. The parents take turns bringing food, carefully feeding each chick through regurgitation. The process is repetitive, constant, and essential. Gradually, the chicks begin to change. Their skin thickens. Fine strands of down appear. Their eyes slowly open, revealing a world they are not yet ready to understand. Their movements become slightly stronger. Their calls grow louder. But the forest is never without danger. Far below, moving silently across the forest floor, a red fox navigates through the undergrowth. Its body stays low, its steps careful and deliberate. It is not rushing. It does not need to. It listens, it watches, it waits. For the fox, the forest is not just a habitat, it is a hunting ground, and any sign of weakness is an opportunity. Above, the nest remains active. The parents continue their routine, unaware of the silent presence below. But danger in nature does not always come from predators alone. The wind begins to rise. At first, it is gentle, just enough to move the leaves, but soon the gusts grow stronger. Branches sway, leaves rustle violently, and the entire tree begins to shift. The nest, built quickly and without reinforcement, starts to shake. Inside, the chicks struggle to maintain their position. Their bodies are not yet strong enough to hold steady against the motion. One chick shifts too close to the edge. It tries to stabilize itself, but the movement of the branch makes it impossible. And then it falls. The descent is quick, uncontrolled. The small body tumbles through layers of leaves, brushing against branches before hitting the ground below. The fall is not dramatic, but its consequences are irreversible. Above, the nest remains. Below, the chick lies exposed. It moves slightly, instinctively, trying to respond to its surroundings, but it does not understand danger. It does not know how to hide. It simply exists, visible, vulnerable, and alone. The fox has already noticed. It approaches slowly, drawn by movement, step by step. It closes the distance. There is no urgency. This is not a chase. This is a certainty. When it reaches the chick, it lowers its head, confirming what it has found, and, in a single, swift motion, it takes the chick into its jaws. There is no struggle, no escape. Only silence returns. The forest continues as if nothing has happened. Later, the parent birds return to the nest with food. Something is different. One chick is missing. There is no clear sign. In the wild, there is no explanation, no cause for it. Simply becomes regarded becomes the center of all attention. Care, more protection, balance, to observe. The nest, once a place of complete dependence, becomes a place of preparation. The chick starts to flap its wings, awkwardly at first. The movements are uneven, uncoordinated, but with repetition, they improve. Muscles strengthen, balance improves. Eventually, it begins to move toward the edge of the nest. Below lies a vast and uncertain world. Above, the safety it has always known. The moment of transition approaches. With hesitation, it spreads its wings. The air moves through its feathers. The instinct to fly begins to take over. It jumps. The first attempt is not graceful. It drops quickly, wings beating rapidly to slow the fall. For a brief moment, it struggles, but then it finds balance. It lands on a lower branch, unsteady but alive. From there, it continues to learn. Short flights become longer ones. Movements become smoother. Confidence replaces hesitation. The young dove begins to explore beyond the nest, venturing into the surrounding branches, then farther still. Time passes. The chick is no longer a chick. Now fully grown, it perches high in the tree, its posture steady, its movements controlled. It watches the forest, not as a helpless observer, but as a participant in its ongoing cycle. Then, it calls. A clear, resonant sound echoes through the air. It is not just a call, it is a signal of survival, a declaration that it has endured. Out of two, only one remains, but that is enough. Because in the wild, survival is never guaranteed. It is earned moment by moment through chance, resilience, and instinct. And as the sun begins to set, casting warm light across the forest, the young spotted dove stands alone, no longer a fragile life in the nest, but a survivor ready to begin the cycle once again.